And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. And what an exciting week we had in the week past here. Had some very fun field hockey to watch yesterday, volleyball earlier in the week. Brought somebody in. I'm not really sure who. It was an event to be held and incredible down at the LNFCU as the Cards ended up beating Pittsburgh in a match that most of us thought this could go either way, all the way up to the very end. We'll certainly get into that for sure. But as we like to do at the start of the show, let's kind of catch up with the guys. There's four of us in here today, as Case, Jeff, and Jared join me, Paulie, here for the broadcast. Daryl is out watching a baby this morning. That could be interesting. And
Watching for a baby. I think it's a tornado watch situation. Or warning. I never remember which one.
I would like to hear.
They're not a tornado till they learn how to walk.
But is it a baby warning or a baby watch? We need to know which one it
Yeah.
really is.
I would like to hear the conversation between her and the baby.
Yeah.
That could be quite interesting. But anyway, doing her sisterly duties there. Good for her. She'll be back with us eventually, I am sure. But hey, we got a lot to cover here, guys, today. So let's just kind of jump right into it. We've got Jared Anderson, who now has a modem that works. He's with us live. And the frustrations of the past couple of days, Jared, are gone, are they now?
Sort of. Still waiting to get the thermostat fixed as part of the switchboard. Piece was way delayed with shipping, so that's been fun. And we had an AC unit that was built in the wall that was having some issues freezing over and had to get that adjusted. And then I got a call from the dentist office about 4 hours before my appointment yesterday, basically saying, "Oh, by the way, we changed our hours and forgot to tell you we can't do your appointment today." So some of the frustration, at least with the internet and cable, is gone, but there's still a lot more headache dealing with right now.
At least you can get on the internet to complain about these other frustrations now, I guess, is the...
That's right.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, that definitely
he
helps.
did so.
Yeah.
He did so very adequately, I do believe. But a busy Thursday and a Friday for Jared. He was out covering the women's soccer, unfortunately, contest with me on Thursday night. And then Friday, he was over at Traeger for that spectacular field hockey win. So take a day off today, Jared. Do something indoors, okay? You don't want to be out in this weather. Case Hoskins in here with us today. Case went out to dine last night at a restaurant that at least most of the guys here on the crew are in favor of. I've never been to Mojitos, and I'll go ahead and drop the name of the restaurant here. But from the accounts I've heard from you guys and others, a very fine place to eat, Case.
Yeah, I think they're doing just fine without our advertisement. But
Yeah, they are very busy always.
but yeah, it's a tapas bar. Let's make sure we get the tapas, not topless. Be sure that everybody understands. Tapas bar, Cuban restaurant, and pretty nice. Had some stuffed dates and some ropa de vieja chicken and some queso with chorizo. It was really nice. The people next to us were like, "Can we get the queso? Like, how is the chorizo on it? Like, is it greasy?" And the waitress was like, "What? Yeah, it's chorizo. It's greasy."
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. So, I don't know how the rest of their meal fared, but it was nice. Good
And
little...
when you mention stuffed dates, I'm sure that if people take a date to that, they leave stuffed. So
I left stuffed. Yeah, I left some food on the plate. I was not punishing myself by cleaning the plate on that one. It was plenty of food.
And Jeff McAdams with us today, and he dropped the bombshell today that he's actually going to Durham. He's leaving us, headed to Durham, going to start his own blog. No, I'm kidding. Jeff is going down to actually, with Monday off, he's going to go down and watch a little bit of volleyball down there, the Cards regular season match against the Dukies. So, Jeff, a fun journey ahead of you. Don't get bored on the West Virginia Turnpike, sir.
Yeah. It's looking like it's going to be raining pretty much the whole way, so that's not exactly delightful. But yeah, decided, I realized on Thursday that I have Monday off, so it was like, hey, that opens me up to be able to make the trip and not have to be pressed for time on it, so I can just have a fun road trip. So, heading down there, be fun. Get back probably mid morning, afternoon on Monday is what I'm kind of expecting. Yeah, should be fun.
Make sure that you've got $24 and $1 bills lined up because there are
Oh,
three tolls
that's
each
right.
way.
It's toll, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All
And
right.
if you hand them a 10 or 20, they give you a look that you don't want in West
Yeah.
Virginia. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so he'll have some fun with that. He'll be reporting live on that, I'm sure, next week on the show. And as for me, a fun week where I got to actually get out. I got over to women's soccer. Unfortunately, it was not a win for the Cards, but I thought they accounted for themselves pretty well there. It was just good to be back out and around people again, and had some nice conversations with Nick Evans while I was up there in the press box. And then Sunday, of course, we'll get into this a little bit later on. Actually, on Friday, what we did is had the women's basketball luncheon at the Galt House, where Jeff and I were in attendance for that. A very nice affair, which it was strange not to see Sean Moth emceeing, sir, but I thought that Nick Evans did a good job, and some new things this year at
Nick
the Galt
Curran.
House.
Wrong Nick.
Oh, Nick Curran, I'm sorry. Yes, there are too many Nicks in this world.
Yes.
And I got a Nick this morning shaving. No, I'm kidding. So, but it was a good time. I thought everybody seemed to enjoy it. It was just good to see people gathering again. It was good to see Louis running around interacting with the fans and stuff. And a little later on this morning, we will have me and Sam Purcell in the infamous 6-minute interview. We do these every year that they have the banquet. Normally, we do them after the banquet. Sam cornered me early yesterday and said, I'm excited. Let's do this interview now. And so that is what we did. We'll play that for you a little later on the show. This is the time where we get into a little bit of scheduling and Twitter information. So we turn it over to you, Case Hoskins, to bring it to us.
I am ready. I've got it pulled up this time. I already know that I need to click the next button to get to November because it's right around the corner.
That's right.
So we'll get started. Women's tennis is hosting the Louisville Tennis Classic. Fortunately for them, I believe that was already scheduled to be an indoor event at Bass Rudd, so they will not be getting rained out for that one. Indoor tennis can get really hot. Been in the Bass Rudd a couple of times. It gets warm in there.
Let's get one.
Football is taking on NC State. Jeff will not make it down to North Carolina in time for that one. He would have had to leave quite a bit ago to make it there by 7:30. That'll be on the ACC network proper, and hopefully I will get to watch it as the trick-or-treaters will be done trick-or-treating tonight in Shelby County. It is apparently illegal in the county of Shelby to trick-or-treat on a Sunday. So here we are.
Bizarre.
That is weird.
That is an actual thing. So trick-or-treating tonight for me. Women's tennis, Louisville Tennis Classic continues tomorrow. For some reason, they've got it on the schedule 3 times, so I guess there will be 3 events at some point throughout the day. And volleyball, as we mentioned, taking on Duke at Duke. That one's at 1 p.m. Live video listed, so presumably ACC Network Extra, maybe the linear channel. I'm not sure what the programming is for ACC Network tomorrow, but that one's at 1 p.m. and you'll be able to find it one way or the other. It's also Halloween, so for the rest of you normal people, hopefully you have better weather for trick-or-treating tomorrow night than it will be tonight, but best of luck. Then we move into November. Monday and Tuesday, everybody's off. Wednesday, men's basketball has their second exhibition of the season. They opened their exhibition season last night with a big win over Kentucky State. They're hosting West Georgia in the Yum Center at 7 p.m. That one will be on ACC Network Extra. And then women's basketball kicks off their exhibition season the following night in the Yum Center as they host Union out of Tennessee. That one also at 7 p.m. No video listed for that one, so we'll see if that one makes its way onto ACC Network or not.
But Paul and I will be there. We're excited to be back out in the Yum Center.
It will be fantastic to be back in the Yum Center and not sitting up in that little corner where they stuck the media last year while Jared got to frolic on the floor in the, as Coach Wallace like to call it, the hockey rink that they played
Mhm.
basketball on last year.
Yeah.
But this year, media is on the floor, and they're going to send Jared to monitor the concession stands, from what I hear.
Well, I got lonely on the floor last year, so it'll be nice to have some company.
Well, yeah, we'll be happy to be down there, no doubt about it. And don't know a lot about Union. I know it's not the Confederacy; it's actually the Union. So perhaps we'll see. Appropriately dressed in blue, sir. Right?
Aren't they orange? Yeah, I don't recall. It seems like everything in Tennessee is orange.
It was a
Um,
Civil War reference.
Referencing the Civil War.
I knew,
Yeah.
I understood the joke. I was trying to correct him on the actual color of the team.
Did they have
Mhm.
anybody on their team named Grant or Lincoln? Never mind.
Looking it up right now, you're distracting me. I'm gonna have to see how many women's basketball games I make it to this year. I work a block away, so we'll see if I can get out there for.
I still
some
want you to
home
come
games
out to
this year.
volleyball too, man.
Well, that's not a block away.
We've had this discussion already.
Anyway,
It's all about the logistics for Case. Come on, Jeff, get in the game here.
I'd have to move my car to do that. This way, I can just leave it in the same garage. Women's tennis is heading to Urbana-Champaign for the Illinois Invitational starting on Friday. Field hockey kicks off their ACC tournament. They locked up the bye with their win over Syracuse yesterday, so they will not play in the Thursday matches. They will await the winner of Boston College and Virginia, and they'll play that one at 1 p.m. in Syracuse on ACC Network Extra, even though that's not listed. Swimming is hosting Notre Dame for a probably looks like a dual match. And then volleyball heads back down to North Carolina. Unfortunate that they're most likely going to come back during the week, but they will head back to North Carolina to take on NC State in Raleigh at 7 p.m. on Friday night. And that gets us to next Saturday when women's tennis continues their Illinois Invitational, and football, unfortunately, has to host Clemson. Or fortunate. I mean, I don't know. That game is going to be probably terrible.
It's not the
for
Clemson
everybody.
of old, Case.
Yeah, but it's still going to be terrible for everybody, because if they're bad and we still lose, then it's unfortunate. Who knows?
I guess I see your logic, maybe.
As for Twitter, I tweet is at best case scenario, BST case scenario. Paulie is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams. Not leading the cards chant, I assume, in Duke tomorrow, so he might actually tweet about the match while he's there. And Jared tweets is at Mr. Anderson Jared. Daryl Faust is at Daryl Faust 4. And then, as always, check out the right side of the site for the running Twitter list of all the accounts just listed and the women's athletics Twitter accounts as well to keep up with all of that.
Jeff, there will be some parents in there, I'm assuming, for the Cardinals volleyball players, right?
Oh yeah, there'll be.
I still
probably
think you should
most
lead
likely.
that chair.
Oh yeah, I do it on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You get on down there and
It's
perhaps
it's honestly it's probably more fun to do on the road, because usually if I go to road games, I usually get to sit in and around among the parents, and they're very enthusiastic about doing it. So a little more so than the crowd that usually sits around me. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun actually to do it on the road.
we certainly hope that the
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Devil doesn't interfere with your trips up and down the steps there.
Yeah,
For sure.
you know.
So look for Jeff on the Linear
Oh, yeah.
Network. And if you see him, we're going to try to get some advertising on his back here eventually. We've got currently some feelers out, on people who might want to advertise there. We're getting a lot of response from Medicare Plus and Advantage companies.
This is the new name, image, and likeness thing, right?
Yes, indeed. It's
Yeah.
an NIL for Cardinal Couple.
Yeah.
We've had some lawyers get in touch with us. And then Sam Purcell also wants to put something on the back of Jeff's shirt, too.
Yep.
So no car warranty advertisements yet, right?
Not any car warranties, and we're not going to have any Amazon fraud people advertising on the back of there either. But Joe Namath and some others have wanted to put Medicare Plus Advantage on the back of Jeff's shirt. So, thing is, will Jeff comply? I'm thinking no.
Quick follow up on the Union discussion. They are red. That's what I thought. They're the Bulldogs, and that there are not any Civil War general names that stand out to me, but I don't know a ton of them outside of the main ones. And there are 13 players on this Union roster that hail from the state of Kentucky.
Well, it'll be like old home week then. I wonder if Jeff tried to recruit any of the 13. Chances are probably not, but it'll be good to see. Yeah, it'll be fun. Get the Cards kind of going here. I know there's a lot of excitement on the Cardinal team to get playing, but let's not go to basketball just yet. Let's go ahead and head on over to Traeger Stadium, where yesterday field hockey went into a match against Syracuse, a match with a share of the ACC regular title for the regular season in hand. The number one seed in the ACC tournament coming up next weekend, and the bye that comes with it, a very important thing up for grabs. It was the Cards' final home match of the season. It was senior day. There was just a lot going on out there. Jared Anderson was out there taking photos. The Cards hold on to beat Syracuse 2-1, sir. You got a chance to do some post-game interviews as well. What did you think? How did it go down for Louisville, Jared?
Yeah, it was a great, exciting match down there at Traeger Stadium. Solid crowd for the senior day home finale and kind of your marquee field hockey ACC matchup that was going on. I believe this one was ACC Network. Cards jumped out to that early lead with the first quarter goal, and being able to add a second goal for the 2-0 lead was, I wouldn't call it comfortable, but it gave you a little bit of cushion to work with. So when Syracuse did find a goal there in the second half, it gave them a little bit of room to work with still, where it wasn't a draw and you didn't have to scramble for your last minute goal like we've seemed to have done in the past lately. But it was certainly a great feeling to get that win and, become ACC champs.
Indeed, they are, and it is undisputed now. An interesting kind of start to this one where Syracuse drew 4 penalty quarters in the first quarter of this game. And that's a rarity in itself that you would get 4 in a row, not, spaced out throughout the quarter. 4 different penalty corners trying to score on Louisville. They were unable to get anything in the net, though, which is fantastic. A great job by the Cardinal defense and Mala DeCure as well. Mila was in there doing a very good job with a sore back, I understand as well. So the Cards were able to do that, and then eventually got a score a couple minutes after that monstrosity of corners. Charlie Van Oorschot found herself with a great scoring opportunity on goal, fired a shot that did get blocked. She'd actually get the ball back again and shoot another shot, but it went wide. But shortly after that, Sari said, let's try this again. Let's see what happens. And it was Amy Plum firing a shot in that Philippa Neubauer found in the circle. Philippa sent it into the right side of the goal, and the Cards were up 1-0 case. And that seemed like a very big goal at the time for Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville plays really well from ahead this field hockey season, not least because it seems that they come out of every quarter break just with their hair on fire, ready to score again. So to get a goal in open play in the first quarter was really a great advantage for Louisville, and it seemed like they were going to capitalize on that quite a few times. Weren't able to until the second half, but definitely an open play goal is great, as Louisville has continues to struggle from penalty corners. A little bit better this season than in seasons past, but still not scoring those at a rate that you'd like to see. They did defend them well yesterday, like you mentioned, the 4 straight corners. They only allowed 2 shots off of those. But yeah, carried that 1-0 lead into the second quarter, and then ultimately into halftime before they were able to score again.
1-0 at the half, the Cards led. It was going to be a interesting third quarter, I think, to say, with both coaches coming out stressing that they needed to do more offensively. Louisville was the one who actually did things more offensively, as the Cards got a goal from Erica Cooper. Erica Cooper, the Louisville Assumption graduate, scoring for Louisville, making it 2-0. And Jeff, at that point in time, when she got that in the goal, I felt pretty confident about this one. I said, we're tough to beat with a 1-goal lead. We've got a 2-goal lead now, and it looks like we might have Syracuse on the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they call them insurance goals, right?
Yeah, that is true.
You get the extra one to give yourself some insurance in case you drop one later, or allow one in later. So yeah, I mean that's always a good feeling to get that. We talk about getting separation in volleyball. You talk about getting a good lead in basketball. Same sort of thing with field hockey. Although obviously the numbers tend to be a little lower. You get a 2-goal lead. That's a pretty good lead. It's certainly not insurmountable in field hockey. That becomes a really big lead in soccer that you start getting really worried about being able to overcome that. But in field hockey, 2 goals is still it doesn't completely calm me down, but it certainly helps for sure.
Yeah, in the field sports, 2 goals is many consider the most dangerous deficit to, or the most dangerous lead to have, a 2-goal lead, because 2 goals can very easily become 1 goal, and you can then use the momentum of scoring once to tie the game back up. So
Right. You start getting
teams
a
can
little
a little
complacent
too
a little bit,
lax.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Syracuse was not daunted by the 2-goal lead. Syracuse was there knowing that they wanted to gain a tie and possibly even get the first round bye. They were excited about it, and they ended up scoring in the third quarter on the Cards. With about 5 minutes left in the quarter, uh, a penalty corner was set up where they were able to get a goal, knocked it into the cage, 2-1. Then, at that point in time, I got a little bit nervous, Jared. And then on the sequence that where it happened, possibly our best defender, and Allie Bitten, earned a yellow card, giving Syracuse a player advantage and definitely some more motivation in addition to the goal, sir.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of yellow cards that were given out yesterday, uh, just for both teams, and I think we ended up with the green card later on. But losing some of your top defenders on yellow cards here and there is certainly not fun. Like Allie Bidding, who just really controls the midfield well and prevents that fast break and can really help the Cards on transition. So sitting her down for that 2-minute period was probably one of the more nerve-wracking moments of the match.
It was indeed very nerve-wracking. Headed into the fourth end with that 2-1 advantage, the Cards were getting a lot of shots off against Syracuse. None of them going in, though. They kept trying to get another goal in there, getting yellow cards, getting opportunities, but they could not do anything with the advantages as they were unable to score. And then Syracuse making one last brave attempt to tie this thing up and send it into overtime, was firing away on the Cardinals pretty heavily in the last couple of minutes. Uh, they did not pull their goalie. It's important to realize in this one in the fourth quarter. They were, trying to score on Louisville. And what I, or did
So
they pull their,
I was gonna say I think they did because on the stat
okay,
sheet
they
it
didn't
shows
pull
Yeah.
as early as UNC did. That's what I'm getting at.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
they
56
pulled her
minutes.
pretty late. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did actually pull the goalie. They did release a strong offensive attack against the Cards, but they could not get one into the net to tie it up. And Louisville gets the win, gets the first round bye in the ACC tournament. And Jared was able to catch up with Justine Sari, Allie Bidding, and also Erica Cooper after the game. How did those interviews go, Jared? What were some of the things? They are at Cardinal Couple, by the way, if you want to listen to those in today's article. But what was the general gist of what they had to say?
Yeah, I think all 3 interviews went really well. For those, everyone was pleased. Sari was rather pleased, especially just being able to earn that first round bye, just because of the amount of time that the players have to rest, as well as an extra day of game planning and preparing for the ACC tournament. And then I think both Cooper and Bidding, being seniors in potentially their final home game at Traeger Stadium, depending on how some of the draws and hostings for the NCAA tournament would work out. I think both of them were happy to go out with a win at Traeger Stadium and earn that ACC regular season title, which is something that they've really been eyeing for quite some time.
Regular season champs they are. The Cards will, as we mentioned, get that first round bye and will go into action on Friday against the winner of the Boston College Virginia game. That will be part of the first round action in the ACC tournament. Both teams have played Louisville very tough this year, guys. And Case, this one kind of scares me. Even though they'll have a game already under their belt, either BC or UVA is going to come in, I think, and remember the last time that they played Louisville, and certainly try to pull a major upset here.
Yeah, it's tough to play games back to back, but it's not terribly uncommon in field hockey. They get pretty used to playing multiple games on a single weekend over the uh, over the early season kind of non-conference stuff. So the teams are definitely conditioned enough to do it. And like you mentioned, these teams are not something that people can slouch at too much. Virginia is coming off of a victory over Syracuse in last week's action that actually made this game, or that gave Louisville a clinch of at least a share of the regular season title. And then Boston College took Louisville to overtime in Chestnut Hill. So it's definitely going to be a close one. Louisville only managed to beat both of those teams by one. Louisville managed to win most of their games this season by just one goal, but uh, like you mentioned, neither team is a slouch, and it could get interesting going forward.
Basically, a conference where all 7 teams have a legitimate shot at coming in and taking this ACC conference tournament title. Even Duke, who's had not the best of seasons, is winless in ACC play so far. You just never know what's going to happen on any particular day. So,
It is nice
certain,
being on the other side of the bracket as Syracuse, with Syracuse being the host for the ACC tournament, not wanting
in,
to go up against them on their home turf.
indeed it is, and certainly, will it be another Syracuse Louisville match? We'll have to wait and see on this one. Action on it for the card starts Friday, 1 p.m. ACC Network will have the feed on that one. So let's go ahead and move in on over. I guess maybe, and I think we could go ahead and let's do women's soccer next because it was a Thursday night contest, or at least it wasn't raining out there. It had rained all day, but by the time that they actually took to the field and started playing Louisville and Duke, the rain had cleared. It remained cloudy though, the entire contest. The Cards, unfortunately, guys, were on the short end of a 1-0 game against Duke. It was senior day, and the Cards had 7 seniors that were recognized in the program. Uh, this was a game that could have easily been 1-1 in the first quarter, actually, where both teams had wide open opportunities, case to score against the other team, and then just kind of didn't get the final shot there to go or even off what they wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's kind of been the story for Louisville's offense this season. Um, Able to kind of create some opportunities and unfortunately not able to capitalize on them. Louisville held pretty tough with Duke. It's a good Duke team. Uh, the Blue Devils were 12-2-1 entering this one. Um, so they definitely have had a lot of success. So for Louisville to only lose 1-0 is a good result, but it's not encouraging because that's the end of the season, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Louisville held Duke to just 11 shots, only 3 of those on frame. So, like I said, a tough defensive battle. They managed to get 6 shots of their own, but only put 1 of those on target. So that's not how you're going to get it done. Just the 1 shot in the first half that was off target. So,
Yeah, I was looking at this. This thing looks like a real defensive battle from the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
a contest, yeah, where defense did reign. And despite the 2 opportunities and early on, each team had 1 chance to score. They did not do it. So Louisville, unfortunately, ends the regular season at 7-7-2. A 500 season for Karen Ferguson Days, unfortunately, in ACC play. 3-6-1. Uh, Louisville had to have this win in order to have any prayer, I think, of getting into the NCAA tournament. They will not participate in the 6-team ACC postseason tournament, but to get into the NCAA, I think that kind of went down the drains with the loss to Duke. But Case, what do you think? Is it all nothing but under the bridge now?
It's tough to say really what this team is going to look like going forward. It's Louisville's worst conference finish since what did we say they finished at 3-6-1. So I don't even know if I can go back. It might be Louisville's worst conference finish. Yeah, since 2016 when they finished 2-5-3. So that was a season where again they finished 500 on the season. They were 7-7-4 instead of 7-7-2. So a very similar season in this one, and Louisville just did not look competitive in most of their ACC matches. Outside of the first couple, they won some that you expected them to win, and then they lost a couple that they really should have won. They were lucky to pull a tie against Clemson last week to prevent themselves from going on ending the season on a 6-game losing streak. But they only got a result in 2 of their last 8 matches. That's not going to get it done. That's not impressive. It's not, like I said, encouraging when you're replacing so much from last season. You would hope that you had, or not replacing very much from last season. You would hope that you would have had a fair shot in this one to make some noise this season, and it just didn't happen. The offense looked as listless after the opening part of the season in the non-conference. It looked as listless as it did in the spring without Amina Ekic, and that was the fear that was briefly cast aside during their early season mini goal romps, but ultimately it came to a head again where the offense just couldn't score. They didn't have a go-to player, and it showed.
Let's try to look at this, though, with a glass half full kind of viewpoint on it. Karen Ferguson Days played 5-6 freshmen regularly and would start them, getting them valuable experience in a very strong conference. Jared, you've got to think here that this experience was good for these freshmen and sophomores, and that it's something for them to build on when they go into next season.
Yeah, a lot of promise with the younger folks for soccer there. Just I think a lot of them still have a little bit more growing and developing to do than we anticipated, and some of that is being able to trust your teammates. We saw a lot of that kind of down the stretch. Not looking for the open player and just ride along by themselves. You got to trust your teammates going to be there in soccer. It's not a solo sport, and I think a lot of them need to not get so hesitant once they do get close to the goal. You're seeing a lot of the hesitation, getting the extra step, allowing defenders to catch up, and sometimes you need to take a shot. You never know what will happen if you can get it past the keeper or maybe a deflection rebound and follow through with the second shot. But when you're taking that extra step or two, you're allowing the defenders to catch up, and you've got yourself no chance to even get a shot off.
True indeed, but there always is room for improvement. And Jeff, we say goodbye finally to Gabby Cazellas, goalkeeper for the Cardinals for 6 years. I think she enrolled in Louisville about the same time Jared did, and maybe even Case. I don't know. I think she was down there during the last national championship for men's basketball. No, I'm kidding, but Gabby has been such a stalwart for this team, obviously, and something that it will be an area where hopefully the Cards can find a replacement for her and the goalkeeper that can hold up to the measure that Gabby had. But not only was she a great goalkeeper, but such a delightful person to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been a joy to interact with over the years, to interview, to she's insightful. She doesn't just give sports answers to things. She really kind of is one of those people that really kind of takes what you ask in a question and really kind of says, "Wait a minute, I'm going to dig into this," and actually give some meaty response. It's so rare in sports to have that. It's been a joy. So yeah, It's gonna be sad to see her go. I think we need to get somebody as a starting goalkeeper who still has the initials GK though, because I like the whole GK and GK, right?
You're gonna have to get a transfer to do it because
or
Louisville's
freshman coming in.
Yeah, when you look at the roster, you're definitely gonna have a new goalkeeper that we haven't seen yet.
Gertrude Kowalski will be hitting to. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Just
Hannah
and-
Wise was the backup, but she was also honored on
yeah,
Senior Day.
sure
So
was. She's out. She's gone.
so you'll have Olivia Pratapes was a freshman this season. Is the only other goalkeeper listed on the roster. So she'll either inherit the position, or the Cards will look to the transfer market, or a new freshman to take over that position. But either way, it's going to be somebody next year that we haven't seen in the goal yet. And you're also having to replace Delaney Snyder. You're having to replace Taylor Kerwin, both players that have been really important for this team. Cassie Amshoff, who played well in the opportunities that she had, plagued by injuries a little bit. But then you also lose Michaela Hampton and Kiana Klein, who Hampton, played in all 15 games this season. So you're not losing nobody outside of those big three names.
You're not losing
these are
nobody.
these are
That's a double negative, sir.
Oof.
right.
You're
I'm
now
saying
you were
that-
banned from the microphone for 5 minutes now. You're going to receive a yellow card from Jeff and I. No, just kidding.
if it's a soccer yellow card, I'm allowed to keep playing. Unless it's high school rules, when you get sent off for a yellow card and have to be subbed back in, it's very confusing.
See, Jeff, we can't stop him. We can only hope to contain him.
That's right.
What I'm getting at is that it's not just Gabby you're losing, and Louisville's got a lot to replace. But like
Well,
you
they
guys have
definitely
mentioned,
do, but
like
you
guys
can't
have
keep
mentioned,
them
those
forever,
freshmen, yeah, those freshmen they're there. They showed some improvement this season, and they're going to have to step it up and continue to show more as the seasons roll on and their careers roll on to get Louisville back into a position where we feel like they should be and where they can compete in the ACC.
I mean, they have to let them go at some point, but they did introduce Tia Gibbs at the tip-off luncheon.
Yes, they did.
So I think
They
she's
was
in her
very they did indeed.
17th
Yeah.
year of eligibility or something. Yeah.
And Vince Tyree was not at the luncheon, which
Yeah.
was a very, very blessed event. No, I'm kidding. Just a quick aside here on women's soccer. I did actually get to attend the event and was there and was. I like to go into the front entrance, which they frown on the media going into the front entrance this year, but I did it anyway. And the guy, there was nobody there basically, just let me in. Said, "Come on." Didn't even check my bag. So I like to take the elevator up to the press box level floor up there. So I'm walk over to the elevator and I see these three little old ladies standing there, and one of them is carrying flowers. And I think, well, how nice is that? Not even thinking it was senior day. So I start chatting with them, and I said, "Oh, those flowers for me," and they kind of laughed, and they said, "No, these. My daughter is graduating. She's playing her final game today." And I said, "Wasn't that sweet? Isn't that nice? Who's your daughter?" She goes, "It's Gaby Cazellas." I got to meet Miss Cazellas, and that was
Nice.
pretty cool. And I was like a blushing teenager. I said, "I love your daughter. She's been so fantastic. I've talked with her so many times on interviews and stuff, and I'm really going to miss her." I said, "I think she's ready to move on to the next step in her life." Just like that.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, though. So got to meet Gabby's mom. Did not get a flower, but that's okay. Second thing, real quickly, they stopped giving away free food out of the concession stand to the media. You now have to pay half price. I hope that does not continue next year. I was very disgruntled having to pay for my bratwurst, and we will leave it at that. Hopes ahead for soccer. Let's hope that she can go out and recruit well, bring in some players, and certainly that we can compete next year a little bit better in a very tough ACC conference, guys. Okay, it's time to move on to something that Jeff has been jumping up and down in his chair waiting for since the show began. Let's take you back to Sunday. Let's take you back to the Belknap campus and then to the LNFCU, where the Cards went into a 5-set thriller against Pittsburgh in volleyball, a matchup of top 5 teams, one that promised to be a barn burner, and Mr. McAdams, it certainly was, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. This in a match that was not a surprise to anyone who follows volleyball broadly. This was an absolute battle from start to finish. Pitt came in. They're ranked the number 4 team in the nation. We're sitting there at number 2 team in the nation. This was circled on volleyball fans' calendars nationwide, leading up to this. This is a big match. It has big implications for seedings and rankings. So Although shockingly, nobody moved in the rankings after it was over. So but it could have been some other changes had it gone the other way. Big 5-set match, of course. And most of the sets were quite close, including the last one that went 15-13. So really, just an amazing battle between two really good volleyball teams. I think the biggest takeaway I have from it is that we finally played a good team that was able to expose where we have some little bit of weaknesses to work on. We played some really good teams in non-conference ahead of time. We played Georgia Tech once. That was a tough game. But like Pitt was the first team that really kind of showed off where this team is not quite as seamless as we, had been thinking all along. It's not very good. This is very nitpicky stuff here, but it's good. This is why it's good to play really good teams, because they're able to expose some of that you can work on then.
A 5-set win for the Cards, but it didn't start out exactly the way Louisville wanted, as Pittsburgh took a 25-19 first set victory. The Cards did come back, winning the second set 25-20. A very close third set at 27-25. Pitt, not willing to go home just yet, won the fourth set 25-22. That led us to a very exciting fifth set 15-13. The attendees certainly got their money's worth after this battle. Jared, you were and they're taking some photos, chatting up with some people. Just your general observations on the action in the LNFCU.
Yeah, I can't believe it's that this volleyball match was still within the past week. It feels like it's been so long ago. But, I mean, it lived up to every amount of hype that we heard about all year, and so much more. Just watching these two teams really battle it out. And neither team looking like a poor team at any point. It's just both were so good that it made the other team's weaknesses, like Jeff mentioned, get exposed a little bit here and there. A lot of energy, a lot of hype out of not only the players but the crowd. I was excited and also nervous at the same time, especially once we had to get out to that fourth set or the fifth set. First set didn't worry me too much. I was thinking maybe a little bit of pregame jitters, some nerves with such of a monumental match going on. Really turned around that second set, as you mentioned. Cards were able to jump out to, I believe it was a 10-point lead at one point, and Pitt, being an excellent program and volleyball team, was able to really dig into that lead as the set progressed. Cards were able to hold on and then come out at halftime and be able to earn that third set victory, put the pressure back on the Panthers. And got to give Pitt props for finding an answer with the fourth set and being able to bounce back and push it to that fifth set. And thankfully, in this season so far, when the Cards go 5 matches, they've been undefeated, and they were able to pull it out there down the stretch off of a huge Anna Stevenson. I believe it was a kill and then a block there at the end by Tori Dilfer. So some of our big-time seniors stepping up down the stretch to get that win.
And you would think that after losing this one, Pitt was walking off going, you know what? In 1 month, we get them in our place, though.
Yeah.
Now, there are 6 matches for Louisville in the interim here, 4 of the 6 on the road. Okay, so it's a ways off, almost a month from the October 24th game to the November 24th game at Pitt. So hopefully both teams can still continue to keep winning to make for what will be a dynamic match up in Pittsburgh, Jeff. But, if I was Pitt, I would be walking off saying, okay, they got lucky here. We should have had this thing. We can't wait till they come to our place.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say they should have had it, but certainly it could have gone the other way very easily with just some very minor changes to how the games went. It's definitely, there's no shame certainly in Pitt for losing against, you're playing against the number 2 team in the country. So for them, this is a very good game against a very, very good team. So they're going to do the same thing we are doing, like looking at it and going, hey, wait, we found some weaknesses here. Let's figure out what to do. They're going to be doing the same thing, right? They're a good team. They're a good coach. Dan Fisher is a good coach. I'm not a huge fan of him in general, but he is a good coach. They're gonna take that. They're gonna use that game footage and they're gonna pick that apart and figure out how to get better from it the same way we are. So end of November, I think it's the 24th. I think we go up there to play is that's going to be another battle. Without question, that's going to be another battle. It's a very, very good team with a lot of talent on it. So.
Indeed, it is. And in case we saw the usual suspects stand up for the Cards in this win, in this classic match, Claire Chaucer, Claire the Bear, as I like to call her, and Anna DeBeer led the way with 17 kills. Anna Stevenson, right there, with so many big plays, especially at the end of the game, 13 kills. And I got Maya Tillman, 8 blocks and 12 kills. Michael Jones, maybe to the casual fan, was a little silent in this one as far as production goes, but case she's certainly one of those players that an opponent has to fear when the Cards come on the court, along with the rest of the A team and Claire.
Yeah, Iko Jones was one of those players who was getting caught a bit by the blockers. The broadcast team pointed out that Louisville really, not used to getting blocked as much as they did in this one. They actually lost the blocking battle 14-13. And Louisville's hitters were struggling with getting a primary block and then getting another opportunity. Louisville did a really good job to save a lot of those blocks and keep them in play, but the hitters would kind of hit right back into the block on the second opportunity. And DeBeer and Chaucer a little bit were able to adjust to that. DeBeer still finished with 8 errors, but Claire only finished with 3. But Iko, she had 10 kills, she had 8 errors. She really was committed to overpowering the blockers, and the blockers were committed to just throwing 3 people in her face, and they were winning that battle pretty much every time. So she's certainly not. She was a little bit anonymous in this one, but she's certainly someone that everyone should fear. If they're not going to key on her in the way that Pittsburgh did, then she's going to punish them.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you carry on about Iko. I was going to change the subject.
Yeah, so I mean, I think what you see here is we've got 5 players that scored double digits in this one. Iko was the lowest of those at 10, but what we have is this spread offense where you have so many options, and that forces the other team to be honest on them. They have to be aware of every offensive opportunity. Usually 2, sometimes. Always 2, usually 3, sometimes a 4th if you get a back row attacker like Anna DeBeer, Claire Chaucer comes out of the pipe. Sometimes you can get 4 attacking options on there. The opposing team has to be ready for that. And it changes the way they do their blocking schemes and how quickly they can move out there. So maybe Iko, she didn't get 17 kills, right? But maybe her threat out there, because she is a threat, opened up those offensive opportunities to go elsewhere. We have a very, very smart setter in Tori Dilfer, and she's going to know where that blocking is coming from and be able to distribute the ball really well and do that. It's one of the big strengths of this team.
Yeah, I just would have liked some of those opportunities. Like I said, getting double blocked is pretty demoralizing. Like you get blocked and then immediately you go straight back into it.
Right.
It was what it was. I mean, ultimately Louisville came out with the win. 29 total errors. Like I said, they only lost the blocking battle by 1. So that means they committed 9 more true errors or 9 more attacking errors than Pittsburgh did. So really not a very crisp match from the Cards, but they were able to get it done. And this one, like we've mentioned, was extremely tight. Other than that 10-point run and 10-point lead in the second set that kind of screwed everything up statistically, the largest run either team had other than that was a 5-point run by Pitt in the first, and the largest lead that either team had throughout the rest of the match was 4. So this one was, like Jeff mentioned, a couple of plays away from going the other direction, and both teams are going to look at this and say, I think that both teams come out of this, like Jeff mentioned, the same way. One got a win and one took a loss, but both teams are saying this match was as close as it could possibly be, outside of going to extra points, a couple more sets, and we both have some big things that we need to fix and some surprises we'll need to pull when we play again.
I do want to shout out Claire Chaucer, though. We're talking about efficiency and errors, and yes, your analysis on that is absolutely correct. I do want to call Claire out as the exception on that. Hitting 483 in the match out of a left side hitter is mind-blowingly good.
Yeah.
It is an incredible number when you look at, of course, hitting percentages as compared to batting averages in baseball. If you can hit 400 for a season, yeah, you're gonna make some, pretty nice fans out there.
Yeah.
And Claire obviously has been
Close to
doing that.
500 on that. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So certainly, Duke next. Jeff will be down there for this one. Duke. Louisville fans, I think, take a special pleasure and pride in beating Duke in anything we play them in anymore. But Jared, they're going after their 21st win. That target gets a little bit bigger on the back, and they're going to be down there in a very noisy and very packed Cameron Indoor Stadium, sir. What say you about the Cards' chances against those Blue Devils?
Yeah, the longer you go undefeated, the larger that target's going to grow on your back, and everybody's out to get you. It's everybody's Super Bowl. You just went up against the other top team in the ACC Pitt, and you're able to beat them. So all eyes are on you, and you're going to get everybody's A game, no matter where you're at and what day you're playing them. You just got to be prepared for it, and it's going to be tough playing at Cameron Indoor Stadium at Duke for volleyball, and I think it's going to be a very rowdy, rambunctious crowd, and you're going to have to be able to play through that and get the win, because it's a tough schedule coming up still with a rematch against Georgia Tech, rematch against Pitt, got Notre Dame twice. It's not going to get much easier. So you just got to be able to go in there prepared, stay focused, get the win, and go home.
Certainly. Make it a business trip. That's what you have to do. So we certainly, Jeff, be safe on your travels down there back and forth. Take 24 $1 bills with you to pay the tolls on the West Virginia Turnpike. And whatever you do, don't stop in Beckley for anything. Just kidding there. No, it's a nice little town. But, in the time we've got remaining here, I do want to get into a little bit about the annual tip-off luncheon for women's basketball that was held yesterday at the Galt House. After a 1 year absence, they did not have it last year. They moved venues from the Marriott to the actual Galt House, and Jeff and I were in attendance there, and it was a fun kind of afternoon, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, it really was. It's always a fun event. I always enjoy it. I go out there. You always get different people at your tables that you get to visit with and meet. This year I had another couple at the table where I was sitting that I actually already knew, and then some other folks that I didn't. So it was a nice mix of getting to see some people that I hadn't seen in a couple of years, obviously with COVID stuff going on and not being in the actual games. So yeah, it's just always a lot of fun to get to visit with people ahead of time, beforehand, mix and mingle, and then at the tables and to, get to be introduced to the team, hear a little bit about them, hear them talk. You get to see some of their personality come out a little bit more in some of this. We saw Mikasa Robinson up there joking around with Jeff Walls a little more. Just a lot of fun.
It was a different format in several ways from 2 years ago, where Nick Curran now, as we mentioned, now the MC for this event, and they had a basically Q&A session where 3 players were brought up and got to sit down on stage and talk with Nick, answering questions. That was Haley Van Lith, Kiana Smith, and Casa Robinson. That was kind of cool for him to ask them questions and for them to answer. And then Jeff Walls opened it up to the floor for a question and answer session. They may want to rethink that for next year. But although there were some interesting questions, certainly it was not the highlight of the event. But hey, Louis was there. The pep band was there. It was good to see a lot of basketball fans there again. And we kept it a long tradition, Sam Purcell and I did go in, where we had our banquet chat. Traditionally, this was done after the banquet in past years. Sam was excited about it this year, though. Came up to me while I was out in the hallway and said, "Let's go ahead and do this now. I'm excited about it." And so Jeff has got this for us to hear. 6 minutes with me and Sam Purcell.
This is a new setup for us. Let's hope this works correctly. Here we go.
All right, so we're here at the UofL Women's Basketball Tip-Off Luncheon, and I have one of the biggest Atlanta Braves fans I know with me right here.
Heck yes.
Who also does the little sideline stuff with Louisville. I think, what are you, talent boy this year? Or?
Well, this is going on my 9th year, and low-key, I've been trying to get hired by you. So I finally had to put a reel together that you could evaluate. So hopefully in year 10, then maybe me and you can join teams together.
The one and only Sam Purcell, looking to become a member of Cardinal Couple. We did really enjoy the interviews that you did and put out on, of course, Twitter and such and Facebook. But Narika Kono seemed very perplexed by some of the questions you were answering. Was it just her, Coach, or was it your approach?
It's probably me. You know, Narika has that look even when I don't interview her, when I talk. So
Fortunately, not a look she has on the court, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but as anybody knows, Narika is obviously phenomenal for her journey to come from Japan to the United States, and her English is unbelievable. But sometimes I throw her curveballs by how fast I talk. That she's like, Sam, I'm good, but not that good. So
And
we have a lot of fun.
There's a little Georgia accent in there, too, which probably makes you wonder about some of the words. But anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of Georgia, what's going on with these Atlanta Braves? They're in the World Series. Tell me this isn't true.
You know what? Here's the problem with Atlanta fans. I haven't posted anything on social media yet because there's a reason. We get excited that we make the World Series, but the problem is we got to win it. Whereas the Yankee fans, the Cardinals, see, they understand you got to finish. So you won't see anything out of me until we can finish this World Series with a ring.
And being a Cubs fan, I haven't had anything to talk about in a long time. So anyway.
Yeah.
Just give us a quick one here, Coach. How's the team looking so far as we get ready for a game next Thursday?
Yeah, now we're looking good. A lot of new pieces. We have put in a new offense, and we've done a lot of skill breakdown, and now just trying to put those pieces together so we can shine on opening day. And opening day is not going to be easy. We got to be really on point because we're going to play a great Arizona team who's very similar to us. They get after it defensively. They're going to make the game ugly. So we got to try to make sure we're sharp in these next 2 weeks so we can come out the gates.
And, of course, a Final Two team as well last year, too, so they've got that on their back, too. Well, all right, Coach, you've been wanting to be a member of Cardinal Couple now. Go ahead and just ask me a couple of quick interview questions.
Well, first of all, we've had this event at the Marriott the last 8 years that I've been here. All right, well, 7 and 8 with COVID obviously being an exception. What are your thoughts in a new venue and coming out of COVID?
Well, first of all, it's great to see everybody back in here again. Fantastic. I know a lot of people missed last year's event, and the pep band, Cardinal Bird, you, everybody in here together to see what is going to be a very good team, we're all hoping. So it's beautiful again. If I can only find my way back to the parking garage and where I'm at now, because I got used to the Marriott, you know.
Right,
Where to
amen.
park, and then now up here, it's kind of like you go down the hallway that goes for 45 miles, and then you take a left. And there's another hallway for 45 miles.
All right, I got another question for you. All right, there's so much chatter, right? Obviously, Dana Evans was a 2-time All-American who did phenomenal things. The shot at Oregon that put us on our back. The game winners last year. What's the one storyline that you're looking for, minus Dana, in this year's team?
As Debbie Antonelli said a couple of weeks ago at a media day, Dana who?
Right.
This is a whole new different team, and Lord knows we appreciate what Dana did over her years here. Phenomenal. The little girl who could and still can.
Right.
But this year, obviously fans are going to be looking to Haley Lith. They're going to be looking to Kiana Smith. Alana Smith, what I hear, is doing really good stuff, and Chelsea Hall may be the unkept secret here that a lot of teams are going to kind of go, wow, where did she come from?
And let me add some stuff about Chelsea Hall. Obviously, what Card Nation doesn't know is we recruited Chelsea Hall along with Dana Evans the same year.
Right.
Dana takes the scholarship for Chelsea. Chelsea ends up at Vanderbilt. COVID happens, we get her back. But here's the most impressive thing, not only her coming back, but her stats. She was on a losing team, but when you look at her percentages, 40% from the three-point line, 50 from the field, a positive assist to turnover ratio on a losing team, that's pretty special.
And doing some fine stuff in the SEC with a Vanderbilt team that wasn't quite there, but she had some great numbers for them. And let me say also, it's going to be nice to write good things about Emma Inkster this year. She torched us inside. By God, she was getting every offensive rebound. Can't Walls get anybody to guard her. She's one of us now, Coach, and that's got to be a relief off your back.
Amen. Yeah, no, what a great kid. And that's like events like today. That's what I'm excited. You know, Emily has that storyline as a great player, but it's events like this today that they get to meet the person.
Yeah.
And Emily is as good as it gets on our team.
They call her Sam Furring Light. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll see. Certainly happy to have her on her. So All right, Coach. You know, in the media business, we like to give them a big close, a big finish. Hit me with one, baby.
Hey, we're back, right? You know, last year was hard for all of us. I hope Card Nation, all of you are healthy and safe and energized, because I know our team is. I can't tell you how excited we are to get out of the hockey arena and back into a card arena, and let's get that thing at 10,000 and get it rocking just like the good old times.
Bring them on out and cheer for them. And Braves in 6, maybe?
I like that. That's
Okay.
what the Bucks were, Milwaukee Bucks. That's a good ringtone.
There we have it then. Sam Purcell, who's going to go in and steal my salad now. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Go Cards.
And there you have
Thanks
it.
everybody for being here.
Oh, jump to another one.
Hey, even Nick jumped in there and said thank you. So there you go. A fun time with Sam Purcell as always. And, of course, Sam just can talk about anything for any time. But I got to ask you guys, did Sam pass the test? Could he be one of us? Jeff, what do you think here?
I think he could. I think there were actually was a pretty good question in there, that he asked. Insightful and interesting and timely, relevant. Yeah, I think he'd do a fine job.
Case, is he deserving of being one of us? What do you think?
Yeah, don't ask him to do scheduling in Twitter, or I might be on the chopping block.
He was throwing some enthusiasm into it, wasn't he? That's for sure. Are you me? We're playing them down there. That's fantastic. I love that. But Jared, you've had a chance to talk with Sam a few times like I have. I think he could be one of us. What do you think, pal?
Yeah, Sam Purcell's great. He's got the attitude, the energy. He's got it all there. Great charismatic person. You better be careful there, Paul. He may replace you as our primary interviewer.
I'm getting older, and I'm getting a little bit, slower. I think that Sam might be a good man to jump in here, and I think we need to start him out with something a bit challenging. Let's get him to interview lacrosse coach Scott Teeter. Wow, that could be.
That would go on for 3 hours between those two.
And we would have to delete anything when they talk about my horse race picking skills. They will definitely have to hit the cutting room floor, as they say. But so yeah, we'll talk with Sam a little bit. It could be not a permanent feature, but maybe an occasional kind of thing that we bring in Sam for, either pre-recorded or live for 4 or 5 minutes a show, maybe down the road, and we'll come up with some kind of catchy title for his segment and see if we can give Sam what he's wanted forever, to be a Cardinal couple guy. I don't know. Do we have to get him business cards? I think he's already got those. But anyway. So a fun show. We are already past noon here, so let's go ahead and kind of get things kind of into a final thoughts kind of mode. Let's go ahead and start with you this week, Ace. Final thoughts?
Yeah, just a UofL related one that Sam talked about briefly or alluded to with talking about the Braves. Adam Duvall, former Cardinal and former Butler Bear, became the first former Butler Bear to hit a home run in the World Series. So that was a pretty neat little tidbit.
Tia Gibbs would be proud, wouldn't she?
Absolutely.
All right, Jared, what you got for me? Final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts. Just got to give credit to UofL field hockey on just an incredible regular season and kind of that monumental ACC run that they've had in the regular season, going undefeated and get that title. And Justine Sauer is well deserving of her contract extension.
Indeed, she is. Jeff, final thoughts?
Yeah, heading down to Durham, gonna watch some volleyball. This is, one of those times that when you want to get a UofL and a UK fan to agree on something, just bring up Duke, right? They'll both say that Duke sucks. So let's do it. Let's go down there. Let's get a good win. Let's make this the single best start for the volleyball team in program history. We're tied right now with 2005. Let's take it over and get it on its own.
And if you happen to see Christian Leitner down there on campus, just give him a warm embrace and hug from all of us here at Cardinal Couple, and then perhaps a noogie on the head, okay? But, final thoughts out of me here. It's so good to have basketball-related things happening again. There was a media day on Wednesday earlier this week, and then, of course, the luncheon, which was yesterday. It's just so good to see Cardinal fans and Cardinal media and the coaches and everybody getting a chance to talk with us live and in person again, to get in to hear the players and getting to see the players and rejoice with our fans on what I think is going to be a special season for Louisville basketball. So let's hope that it goes smoothly, and we'll find out for sure next week when we get it started against Union and then Arizona. All right, that'll do it for us today. We'll certainly be back with you next week with much more exciting news on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. And so we'll see you then. Everybody have a great weekend and go Cards.